Criss and Anthony.
Yes, thank you all for coming. We're so excited to be here. If you haven't read it already, I know you just got it, some of you, it's incredible. This is going to be an awesome night. So,
wait, so show of hands, how many people have heard of Dear Evan Hansen?
Great!
No one.
No one. Okay, great. Now, this night is all about the people they're about to talk about. However, they were unwisely invited us, so we're going to butcher this. So bear with us.
We're so prepared.
Very, very prepared, always. Okay, so the first person who will be joining us is Steven Levenson. He's the Tony Award-winning playwright of Dear Evan Hansen. Other attributes are, he did the play Days of Rage, If I Forget, The Unavoidable Disappearance of Tom Durnin, and The Language of Trees. These guys, it's ridiculous how much shit they were involved with. We're very, very impressed. But also, for TV, he worked for 3 seasons as a writer and producer of Showtime's Masters of Sex, and upcoming projects include the limited series Farce and Verdun on FX, and a film adaptation of Jonathan...
Fosse and Verdun.
Fosse! Oh my God, it's Fosse! It's Bob Fosse. I told you they shouldn't have invited us. And the film adaptation of Jonathan Larson's Tick, Tick, Boom.
So please be patient while I list these obnoxiously pretentious accomplishments. Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Golden Globe Award-winning songwriters. It's Ben, but it has a J, so I guess it's Benj. Benj, Pasek, and Justin Paul are best known for their work on Dear Evan Hansen.
Hi boys.
Hello, Tancran.
Wow.
Hello, Anthony Porowski.
Are you guys nervous?
A little bit. You know, this is our first book. This is our first launch of our book tour. We've never written a book before. This is very exciting.
I mean, you haven't achieved much up until now, so I can see why.
Thank you, Tan. Thank you. Are you guys nervous? How do you feel? Val, you've done this before.
Val's not nervous. Val's done this a lot.
Wine helps.
Yes, correct. True. We should start, but we should probably practice who was going to do what.
Well, I think the first one we should do together. Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so Dear Evan Hansen opened on Broadway in 2016.
And I know it was a long time
in the making.
Tell us about where the idea for Dear Evan Hansen originated and how it came together.
Guys, that was a mess.
Thanks. Okay, no, but for reals. Okay, so it came out in 2016. Yeah. It was a play, and we all want to know, where did it come from? What inspired you guys?
Well, the musical was originally written with me and Justin and Steven, and the seed of the musical came from, there was a boy who passed away in my high school, and I was really fascinated with my own response and the school community's response of why everyone wanted to be closer to this kid who had passed away after he died than they wanted to be when he was alive. And I remember talking to Justin about that in college, and he responded to that kind of seed of an idea. And we also were noting that 9/11 kind of had the same...
Yeah, sort of noticing that thing that, which was a weird thing to even think about or comment on, but thinking at that time that we knew people in high school or in our hometowns or whatever that, and also nationally, I mean, this was in the news, of people who sort of made up stories that they were connected to people in 9/11, or people that said, I knew, there was a famous one actually, someone who was the head of some 9/11 fund. She claimed that her husband had passed away in the tragedy, and that hadn't happened at all. But it was this really interesting thing we found with his specific story, with a sort of national thing. Also celebrity deaths, especially with social media, that becoming a thing where people would sort of go online and always tell their story of how they knew that person or their connection. Noticing this real need for people to feel connected to something. And even though they were fabricating the stories or whatever it was interesting that everyone really wanted to be part of this communal thing that was happening.
Right, and when we first began to work on it, I think our approach was we wanted to kind of make fun of our generation's response. We were kind of very judgmental of why do we need to, when a celebrity dies, we all need to post about it and make it about ourselves, you know? And it was really a very cynical show. And then we luckily met Steven Levenson, who rescued us from our cynicism.
Yes.
Well, I think we discovered together as we started.
That's so generous of you.
As we started talking about it and thinking about it, you know, the thing that felt so interesting was there's the surface level reading of things, which is that cynical look of, you know, people just want to claim that they were part of something. They want to be celebrities. They want to get recognized. But it's sort of like, well, what's underneath that? What's the human impulse that we all have? And then I think we kind of landed on this idea of connection. And that it had something to do with people's desperation to feel like they were connected to something bigger than themselves. And that kind of dovetailed with the fact that we were talking about a culture that we all live in that's only gotten more like this, where we're sort of connected all the time to one another, and yet completely disconnected. And so that was really where we began.
Yeah, and you know, you guys are social media stars. Yeah. But you know, everyone, yeah, oh, very cute, very cute. That's going to be, I feel like, a meme in like 10 minutes. I think we were so struck also by how this generation now it's so easy to sort of live a double life. The life that you live in public, and then the life and your persona that you have online, and the way that you can crop a picture to make it look like your life is just perfect. But what is everything that is happening outside of, you know, that box? And when we look and we compare our lives to everyone else's, you know, you can look at all these studies, we feel increasingly alone, increasingly like we aren't a part of the world, and we're only really looking at a very, very perfectly curated version of everyone else's lives, but we view that as, you know, reality. And so I think it makes so many people feel like they're more alone, more isolated, and less a part of the world, and we wanted to examine a character who felt like that.
I know it's not my panel, but I just want to say, like, I think you guys did that really successfully. A mutual friend of ours, PJ, did a really interesting piece on, there were these two girls who posted selfies at a funeral, and they were very heavily criticized for it in the mirror of the bathroom. And he sort of like went into sort of questioning like social media and its place in that, and sort of like at first glance, yes, it's easy to criticize, but that's how we like process things, and there's no way to judge it with grief. Like, you can't be judgmental of that. Every person's experience is their own.
That's so true, and I feel like for us, what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a character that was sort of the epitome of someone that you would feel was needing to connect, needing to be heard, be seen, and then we kind of presented a scenario where this opportunity to be a part of a family, be a part of a community comes about, and you understand why he takes part in it, because he's coming from a place of such desperate loneliness.
Great. Okay, so as Benj knows, I only watched Dear Evan Hansen, the play, for the first time a few weeks ago. He arranged a ticket for me. He's a very good friend.
Thanks,
and I fell in love with it. However, what is strange is that you guys took a path with this that is not normal. You did the play first, and now you're doing the book. Why? That's a weird path to take. Why did you choose to do it this way? Did you feel like you wanted to say so much more? Tell us.
Yeah. Well, you know, when the show first came to Broadway, we were really stunned by the response that it elicited, and we were incredibly gratified and very much overwhelmed by the way that people responded to the show, and especially what we started to notice is that there were people all over the country, really, who were going online and making fan art, or you know, doing fan fiction about the characters that were in the show, and it felt like people were connecting to these characters and to this story in such a deeply personal way. And as we sort of looked around and thought about, you know, where we sit, I think, like all theater makers, we're very self-conscious of the fact that to see a Broadway musical is not accessible for most people. You know, beyond the astronomical ticket prices, it's a show that until very recently was playing in one city in the world for 1,000 people a night. And we felt like, is there a way to get this story to more people? Is there a way to kind of broaden the audience and at the same time there were a lot of things about the story that, in the process of making this musical, we lost so much that we had created along the way, tangents that we went down, and characters that we had developed, and then kind of, you know, for reasons of economizing to fit all of this story into 2.5 hours, we just lost certain things, and we felt like, oh, maybe there's a way to bring some of this back into a different form. So both of those things kind of came together, and we became really excited about this idea.
And like, sorry, but kudos to you for taking something that's like such an instant visual and like auditory medium and like translating it to a book, because I think like kids don't read enough. Like, that's a fact, and I just think it's awesome that you guys are like, and adults.
I was going to say you sound so old.
Love books.
Okay, I've got another question, but it's, yeah, so sorry, just a second.
Go for it,
Danny.
Danny.
You had a lot that you cut out from the original. Is there a song, by any chance, that you love that didn't make it in?
It sounds like you're introducing a song that we're going to sing, and we're
I
actually
know.
not doing
Now,
that.
ladies and gentlemen.
I just think I had sheer terror, like, waving across.
No, but is there?
Yeah, there's actually literally, yeah, you know what, there's a number. I would say for every song in the musical, there's a song in its place that was cut. You're looking at least the second version of all.
Anything you regret that didn't make it, but now for you?
It's so dark. I have a lot that I regret. Yeah, you know, there are some songs. Yes and no. Like, there's songs I think that we love that we're like, oh, we're proud of that, or oh, that was nice or beautiful or whatever. But when something doesn't work in a show, when it doesn't fundamentally, when you can feel the show stop, we can feel the audience sort of like sit back and sort of disengage or cough or whatever it is, that you can tell that they're not right there with you. It's really obvious and it really sticks out. So we're almost like, whenever that happens, we're kind of relieved once the song is gone, because we're like, it's not working, and so we have to do it. But we actually, it's coming out. There's a deluxe album of the cast album that's coming out, a new version, where we recorded 3 of the cut songs, or 3 or 4 of the cut songs from the show on that album, and it's coming out recorded by the current Broadway cast. So that's fun.
I promise I did not know that, and that's not why I asked my legit. No.
Thanks for the CD show. Thank you.
Yeah, no, but you know, sometimes your favorite songs are the ones that just don't actually work in the show. You know, you can write something and you can really appreciate it as a song, but if it doesn't really progress the story, or if you feel like there are too many ballads and you're like, well, this is slowing down the action. You know, we definitely had that of songs that we really, really liked, but ultimately you would start to hear audience members cough because, you know, it had been preceded by 2 other songs that were too slow moving, or whatever the reason was. So yeah, there are definitely things that we liked, that we wrote, but for whatever reason it just didn't end up in the show.
That's why you guys are so good at what you do, and not just because you're my friend, because you're able to like put your ego aside and really respect the story and like what people want to see, and I think that's amazing.
Thanks.
I'm gonna stop complimenting you. I'm gonna ask a question. So, Val, not too long ago, you were Liz Lemon's much younger boyfriend, and now you're part of this. How did this come about?
Wait, I just want to say before you even answer that you guys should have seen the 2 of them fangirl to Val Emmich backstage. I have never seen it.
If you haven't seen it, just YouTube it. Like, he's so good in the show. Anyway.
You guys don't know that me and my wife and my 2 daughters also binge your show, so it's a mutual appreciation society.
You just disappointed so many people to find out that you were straight in this moment. You just crushed me, some dreams.
Should I leave?
Yeah, I think so.
After you answer the question.
What was the question? Not too long ago.
So how did you join this team?
I wrote a book, not this book, and I think that their editor, who bought the rights to Dear Evan Hansen as a novel, just put me in the mix, and I think I told them a bunch of things, and I tried to be
Val was very impressive. Val, so not only was he wrote a beautiful book.
I talked better than I do now at that lunch.
We don't appreciate modesty.
You'll talk about the process, but we can brag on you, which was that Val is a beautiful, beautiful writer. Val's also, as you'll see, a musician and a singer-songwriter in his own right, and an actor and everything, a chef, nutritionist. Sorry, wow.
Maybe we could get together after all.
Yeah. We read a lot of people's work, and we gravitated towards Val's beautiful writing and tone and voice, and we felt like there was a kindred thing there with the tone of DEAR EVAN HANSEN. And the fact that he was a musician was really appealing to us too, because we had this thing going of like, how do you take... We know how to take a source material and turn that and expand that into a song and make it emotional and make it part of the story. But how do you take what a song does emotionally and for the energy of the piece and somehow capture that in prose in a novel form in that sort of intimate setting? And, you know, Val being the musician that he is also made us think that would be incredible to work with someone who can understand what the music's doing and find a way to let that breathe into the piece. And we said, we want you to do this, and you said...
I don't know if this is a good idea.
Yeah.
The way it was introduced to me was my agent sent me a text, what do you think of the musical DEAR EVAN HANSEN? And I said, no, we've been over this before. Everyone thinks that I'd be good in a musical because I act and sing. And I came close a few times, but I was like, no, I'm not good enough to be in a musical. Don't bother me. And he's like, no, dummy, to write the novel adaptation for DEAR EVAN HANSEN. I said, oh, is that something that's done? I asked Google. Google said, no, it's not a thing. And then that scared me. I read the play. I thought, on the page, this seems like it could work as a book. And then I saw it and I said, no, I don't want to do this. This is only something you can mess up. The audience passion was obvious and intense. The accolades in the press were high. I was like, this is a bad idea. But then I met these guys and they were like, yeah, no, we want you to try some stuff. And
they get you like
they
kind of fooled you to Nobu or something? Like,
Nobu, calm down.
Here's the truth, I've never been. I think it's time you guys take me to Nobu.
Way to plant that, Anthony.
Thanks, guys. Did that answer your question?
So we're going to structure this evening, I guess, in a little bit of an atypical way because we didn't want to just talk. We also wanted to perform some songs. And I'm glad you guys are happy about that.
What do you want us to sing?
I actually, when we were posting about this on Instagram, I said, like, with surprise musical guests, and Ant wrote, he was like, Tan, what if we're the surprise musical guests? And they just haven't asked us yet. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm excited!
Next time in Nobu.
Before.
Yeah. I'm going to attempt to sing one of the first songs that we wrote from the show, SOB Kind, because, you know, you have to really lower your expectations when an author tries to sing.
We'll just hang out over here.
Yeah, just hang out. Yeah, I'll be right
It's
back.
probably the first time that a book author has played and sung songs from the show that he is analyzing.
So be kind. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. So this song is honestly one of the first songs that we wrote for the show, and it stuck around, and it's called Waving Through a Window.
I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make the mistake, before I leave with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing to share, no, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, I'm waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I watching you go past. I'm waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me?
Alright, so I wanted to bring out...
That was great, right?
wanted to make sure that I didn't mess this up, so I'm going to bring out a friend of Justin and mine from our college days to sing a song with us.